Sportscast, big show, college football, where we recap and we analyze of what's going on in the college football world. We do it, a couple times a year. First in August, then again we do it around this time. Well, this is our first time doing it around this time, and then we do it around like the NFL draft, which is kind of college football / NFL, a little hybrid there. And joining us, Kylou Borden, Justin Riley, and Mr. Tyler Turner. Welcome to the Sportscast.
Glad to be here.
Well, thank you.
So, guys, Tuesday was the big announcement of the first poll. Ohio State came into number 1, number 2 LSU, 3 Alabama, 4 Penn State. Let's start with Tyler. Obviously, Tyler did predict it to be 2 Big Ten teams and 2 SEC teams. Tyler, tell us your reaction when you saw the poll.
Yeah, actually, I pretty much agreed with it. I obviously don't have any problem with that. The main arguments I see have been centered around why Ohio State over LSU, because LSU's beaten better teams. Ohio State's still beating good teams. They beat number 13 Wisconsin 38-7. They beat a number 20 Cincinnati 42-0. They beat a 7-2 Indiana 52-10. I can't think of their other good victories offhand, but and it's just in general, their games haven't even been close. They've literally boat raced every single team, whether they've been good or average or not good. So I didn't have a problem with it. I think they're a better team than LSU. And then when it came to now, it was a little contradictory because it seemed like obviously Penn State was put in because of the strength of schedule. They beat Michigan, who's number 14, I believe, and they also beat Iowa, who's number 16, and those are 2 good victories. But then why weren't they ahead of Alabama? So they're ahead of Clemson, but they weren't ahead of Alabama. Alabama doesn't have any good victories, neither does Clemson. I just thought that maybe Penn State should have been 3rd with the logic of putting them in front of Clemson. And I've heard a few people wonder why that was. And the one loss, they ranked currently Georgia over Oregon. Georgia does have the worst loss. South Carolina at home. I don't have as much of a problem with it because they do have 2 better victories. They beat Florida and they beat Notre Dame. It'll work itself out. And then the other one was, I think I've seen a couple people wonder why Baylor was behind Oklahoma, and actually it does make sense because Baylor has a victory over 2 top 25 teams, Kansas State at number 16 and Oklahoma State, and they both were on the road. And the only top 25 game that Oklahoma's played was against Kansas State, and they lost. So why is Baylor behind them? I do believe Oklahoma's a better team, but still. So there's a little bit of contradictory stuff with a couple of stuff. I did think they sent a completely clear message. It seemed to be a little strength of schedule, but then it seemed to be a little eye test. But as a whole, I didn't have a huge problem with the rankings, and I pretty much agree with the top 4.
Justin Riley, of course, was a little bit nervous that Alabama might end at 4th, but they ended 3rd. Do you agree with this ranking so far?
Well, I wouldn't say I was nervous, to be honest with you. I kind of felt that Alabama would be 4th, and that's solely on the basis on their strength of schedule right now. I'm going to be honest. As an Alabama fan, we've played nobody, and the teams we beat, their winning percentage is completely horrendous. So I honestly felt that it would be at number 4 at best, and to be honest, I was fine with that. But right now, I really don't get too hyped up or excited over the initial rankings because at this point, it's just, info for locker room talk, water cooler talk, clickbait, So in other words, it really doesn't matter right now, but I do agree with the seedings. Now, I thought that LSU and Ohio State really was a toss-up, and it could go either way. But I felt like the committee made the right decision and had the right teams where they are right now.
Kylou, AP poll had LSU number 1. Do you think LSU is in the right spot? Do you think Ohio State's better than them?
I think I agree with the rankings because I think that Ohio State right now, I think they're the best team in college football right now. That includes LSU. Chase Young has been really dominant. Justin Fields has been great. Alabama, I think they went strictly based on eye tests and thinking that Tua was going to be fine going into the LSU game. So I think Bama, I'm surprised Bama is at where they're at 3. I would expect them to be at 4, but I think they went based on eye tests with Bama and with LSU. That's going to be a huge matchup coming up this week. So, and Penn State, I don't really have a problem with it at all.
Tyler, Oregon's at 7th. Are they in a good position to possibly make it to the college playoffs?
Oh, yeah. Because remember the first 4, Ohio State, Penn State, LSU, and Alabama. Ohio State and Penn State play each other, and LSU and Alabama play each other. Georgia, if they win out, will play either LSU or Alabama. And who's number 5? Oh, well, Clemson doesn't play anyone. So, but the other one, so the 6 teams in front of each other, 3 of those teams will have another loss, and then one of either Penn State or Ohio State will not win the Big Ten, and one of either Georgia, 2 of either Georgia, LSU, and Alabama will not win the SEC. So yeah, I think they're in a good spot because at the end of the day, number 8 is Utah. And they both will play each other, and they both will be top 10 teams, and that's a very good victory. And especially if one of them wins significantly, it's going to look good. But I do believe Oregon, and most of the media says the same thing, Oregon has a stronger schedule than Utah. Oregon has the better loss. Oregon lost to the number 11 team on a neutral site at last second play of the game. Utah lost to an unranked team. Utah does not have any real good non-conference victories. Neither does Oregon, but they have a good non-conference game. And also, Oregon is undefeated in conference. Utah's not. They lost to USC. I worry, and at the end of the day, it comes down to stuff like, whether we believe it or not, is what name carries a little more power. I think Oregon carries more name recognition than Utah. I just worry if Utah, let's say hypothetically Utah wins out, they win the Pac-12, they finish 12-1, and it's between them and 11-1 Alabama or 11-1 LSU. I think they're going to give it to Alabama or LSU, and they're just going to say, "Oh, their schedule is tougher." They beat Auburn, they beat Texas A&M. Their only loss was to a very good LSU team. I just don't think Utah will get it. Whereas I could see Oregon, because of the other things I mentioned, having a tougher non-conference game, having the overall tougher schedule, playing in the tougher division in the Pac-12, finishing undefeated in the Pac-12, it being a bigger name, a team that already made the college football playoff in the first year in 2014. I think Oregon will get in over a one-loss non-SEC or a one-loss non-Pac-12 champion. So, yeah, that's my opinion. Yeah, I think Oregon's just fine. I think if Oregon wins out, I think they get in.
Yeah, I do agree. I think Oregon definitely has a stronger schedule. Their positioning is great. Poor Utah. Utah has a great season. Good job for them, but their chances are not good. Let's jump into Kailu, Big 12, Oklahoma. What are their chances to make it to the playoffs?
I think as long as you're within 5 through 9, the SEC teams are going to beat up on each other. But Oklahoma took a huge step back, losing to Kansas State. The defense wasn't great. Oklahoma is currently second in conference. So I think if Oklahoma wins down, they win the Big 12. It's going to be tough because now you got to go through Georgia, you got to go to LSU. So, and with the one loss, they didn't look that impressive. They gave 48 points on the road. It really wasn't a great showing for Oklahoma. So obviously they're going to face an uphill battle, even with the one loss. You can typically get in with one loss, but given how their defense looked, Jalen Hurts has been great, but given how their defense looked, it's going to be an uphill battle for Oklahoma to get in the college football playoffs.
Justin, Clemson's at 5th. What do they need to rely on? An Alabama loss or someone from the LSU? A LSU loss. What do you think Clemson needs to do to stay alive?
Pray. Well, to be honest
Win?
with you, yeah, win. They got to win because let's just be honest, if they take a loss, that's it. That's all she wrote because
Yeah.
they play one ranked team in Wake Forest, and to be honest with you, as good as the Demon Deacons are playing this year, that's not a significant enough win to get them back into the thick of things unless there's going to be some chaos, which there could be as the weeks progress. But they're going to have to win and win convincingly the rest of the way out. They can't have one of those little North Carolina games where they just kind of barely show up because they do that, especially against Wake Forest, they're going to fall.
Let's stick with Justin. Big matchup this weekend. LSU, Alabama. A lot of celebrities coming, even the president. This game turned out to be bigger than we first thought. Justin, tell us, can Alabama afford a loss? And then we'll go with Tyler afterwards.
To be quite honest with you, Alabama cannot afford a loss, and it's for the very reasons I mentioned earlier. I love my Crimson Tide, and I'm going to be there until the very end. But with their strength of schedule where it's at, it's not going to be enough to sway voters. And should they take a loss to LSU, albeit a very good LSU team, the rest of the way out is not good enough. Yeah, they do play Auburn, who is highly ranked, and if Auburn wins out, they still will be highly ranked. But to be honest with you, that's not going to be enough to make voters decide to put them in over other teams out there that have a tremendously better strength of schedule and who have played against more ranked teams and have done a lot more, than Alabama has done. Yes, Alabama's name does carry a tremendous amount of weight, but right now with a lot of Bama fatigue and after what has happened recently with them getting there without a conference win or conference championship win, I seriously doubt the Bama name is going to be enough to push them past a one loss right now.
Tyler, LSU has Alabama, and their next hard game is Texas A&M. Obviously, they got to win as well against Alabama, but can Alabama afford a loss?
Yes. Well, you mean if they lose, are they for sure not getting into the playoffs? Is that what you're asking?
That's
me?
my question. Yeah.
No. I don't think you can definitively say that. Like I said, if it's between a one-loss Alabama and a one-loss Utah, if you look at the strength of schedule and the overall metrics, I think Bama gets in over Utah.
How about Oregon?
I think they'll have. I think Oregon. If Bama loses, Justin Riley, guess what? If Bama loses, you're going to have to become a Utah fan. Because I
got no problem cheering for the Utes.
Really? Come on, let's screw up. Anyways, I'm always rooting against Alabama stuff. But because I think Oregon would get in over Bama. Yes, I think Oregon gets in over Bama. I don't think Utah does.
And do you think Alabama could win? Go ahead.
An undefeated Oklahoma is the other one. So let's just say hypothetical. Utah wins the Pac-12. Oklahoma wins the Big 12, doesn't lose any more games. So then it's between Oklahoma, Utah, and Alabama. At this point, though, remember, Oklahoma would have a couple top 25 victories over, like, Baylor, who's top 25. Whoever they beat in the Big 12 championship will probably be top 25, either Baylor again, maybe Texas, possibly a Kansas State rematch, especially if it's a Kansas State rematch. So then it'd be like Baylor, Utah, and Alabama is what it'd be between. And then maybe like you have a one-loss Penn State sitting there. You could have like between four teams. I would probably say something like that, where it's one-loss Penn State non-champion, one-loss Bama non-champion, Oklahoma's a champion, Utah's champion. I would favor Bama. I just think they would say that they're better. They just eye test better. The only loss was to, hypothetically at that point, number one LSU. I would kind of favor Bama. Now, if you do the same scenario and put in Oregon, just has a really good loss with Auburn, but Alabama would have the better loss. But then Oregon won their title, Alabama didn't. And then in the eye test, I mean, I think Bama's better than Oregon, but Oregon still has, a first-round quarterback, top 25 defense and offense. I think there's bigger holes in the other team's arguments. I'd say the worst one for Bama would be Oregon going undefeated. I think they possibly could get in over Oklahoma. I think they possibly could get in over Utah. I think they would get in over a one-loss non-champion Penn State. I just don't think they would over Oregon. But everyone else, I do.
A lot of things are going to pan out in the next couple of weeks. Kailu, can Alabama win without Tua?
I think that Alabama cannot win without Tua. I think I'm to their point. I'm kind of torn because if Bama plays a close game, 23-20 against number 2 LSU, against number 2 LSU, they're going to say they have the best loss. But if they get blown out, I don't think they're going to get in. If it's between Oregon, Utah, and Oklahoma, I think they're going to bring up, even though the committee should never do this, they're going to bring up what happened last year, Oklahoma and Bama. If it's Oregon, I think it's going to be really close. And if it's against Utah and Alabama, they're going to bring up eye tests. And I think that in that case, they're going to bring up eye tests. And I think Bama would, of course, they would win out in that situation.
Justin, in the scenario of Alabama loses, will you have to become a Utah fan?
I think absolutely right on that because, like Tyler's saying, is that Oregon has a better resume. If Oregon wins out, that's it. And I don't see Alabama overcoming a one-loss Oregon that wins their division and also has those quality wins. So it'd be very hard for me to put Bama past that, even though I would like them to go. And, history is on their side, but you just can't argue facts right now. So Alabama can't afford this loss. I mean, technically something could happen if they lose, but you really don't want to leave that up to chance because, honestly, I feel like this year it's not in their favor.
What's your realistic score that's going to happen? Well, actually, let me backtrack on that. We'll save that for game predictions. But what have you heard about Tua? Is he coming back this Saturday? Will he be playing a full game?
He's going to be playing. There's no question about that. Will he play a full game? Well, that depends on how well that his pass protection is. As long as they keep him healthy and keep him protected and minimize the hits, then he'll play the whole game. I don't know what percentage he is right now. You got to think coming back from a high ankle sprain, he's not going to be 100. Miracles happen every day, but I'm thinking we'll probably see about an 80-85% Tua Tagovailoa in this game. But yeah, he will play. There's no question. To what extent that will be seen on Saturday.
Tyler, if Alabama doesn't have a full 100% Tua Tagovailoa, how's the talent level compared against between LSU and Alabama? Can Alabama have enough to beat LSU?
If you go by my team talent formula, go by my by the 247 team talent composite, Alabama does have more baseline talent. That being said, LSU still has top 5 talent. LSU especially has a lot of talent currently at the skill positions, wide receiver, several top 100 guys that are playing to their talent level is the more important thing. And they also have a lot of talent guys in the back end of their defense, guys like Darryl Stingley, Christian Fulton, Grant Delpit. So they have a very good defensive backfield. Yes, they do. The problem, a couple of issues is LSU's not done well against Alabama for years, so there's a mental hurdle to go over. None of these guys on the team, senior and below, have ever beaten Bama. It's at Bama. It's on the road game against a team that you haven't beaten in a while. If Tua Tagovailoa is able to play to his ability, I believe Bama wins this game. But yes, LSU does have more talent than anyone else that Alabama has played. That is another problem for Bama. They haven't played anyone any good. So then when you haven't played anyone good and your first game is against a team that is one of the most talented teams in the nation, sometimes that can shock you a little bit. Luckily, it's at home. Luckily, it's coming off of a bye. And But then if your quarterback, who is really the ringleader of your offense, cannot play at 100%, that's problematic. There's a lot of variables. I'm kind of torn a little bit in this game. I don't ever root for Alabama, but for my team, it's better if Bama wins because LSU has a better resume. And so if they end up being the 11-1 non-SEC champion, I think it's a little more problematic for Oregon. LSU for sure gets in over all the teams I said, and I think LSU might get in over Oregon. Like if LSU loses, I then become immediately a Texas A&M fan to give them a second loss. So long story short, or I become an Auburn fan, knock off Bama, so then there's like 3 one-loss SEC teams, which I think would immediately eliminate 2 from the equation. That's another scenario. They're not going to have 2 one-loss teams, one being a non-champion, one being a champion. So either way, I kind of want Bama to win because of that. And also another problem would be, let's say Tua plays in the first quarter and all of a sudden, I'm bringing in a different argument. One bad thing about a Bama loss is what if Tua plays like in the first quarter and his ankle acts up and he can't play again, and then Alabama ends up losing a close game to LSU, but then Tua comes back and plays great the next couple weeks, beats Auburn. That's a little bit of a problem because then they can say, you know what, Alabama only lost to LSU because Tua was not able to play.
Justin?
And they would probably have a pretty fair argument. So, but anyways, long story short, LSU does have the talent to beat Alabama. I do think they're not as talented, and I think if Alabama and Tua is playing up to 100%, Alabama.
The winter cold's coming in. Justin Riley, can you respond to what Tyler has said? Do you agree of his statement?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if Tua Tagovailoa plays up to potential, then that presents the best case scenario for Alabama to win this game. To be honest with you, I feel like if he unfortunately, God forbid, gets hurt, Mac Jones has to come in. I really don't believe at this point in his career that he's going to be able to go, blow for blow with Joe Burrow. He doesn't have the game experience, and he he's not a seasoned veteran like Joe Burrow is. And he's only played 1 full game as a starter, so I really don't like the odds, especially in a big stage like that. Now, like Tyler said, if Alabama was to lose and Tua Tagovailoa is out, that would be Alabama's one saving grace. The committee could look favorably upon Alabama for that very reason he mentioned. They lose to an LSU team because they were without their star. So that would go into Alabama's favor. So if that were to unfortunately happen, that may come into play. But I'll say remove all doubt and just do what you're supposed to do, win the game. But that's my take on it.
From like the last game where Mac Jones started the whole game, you don't have much belief in him, don't you?
It's not that I don't have much belief in him. It's just that the only time we've seen Mac Jones is during the A-Day game or in relief after Alabama is up by a significant margin. And that's a lot different than being the starter for an entire game. And it's a lot different for being a starter on a nationally televised game, number 1 versus number 2, with everything on the line. It's hard for me to really have the full belief and full confidence in him for those very reasons. Now, he could completely surprise me. I mean, he's not a bad player. I mean, he was a 4-star kid out of Jacksonville coming out of high school, so he didn't get there by accident. He got there because of what he's done. But I just think, with those very things I mentioned, it puts Alabama at a disadvantage.
Sticking with Justin, Alabama defense, can they help Alabama win this ball game if Tua doesn't play? Can they stop Joe Burrow?
Well, that it's not so much can Alabama stop Joe Burrow. It's going to be how much can they limit him. If you watch college football at all this year, for the first time in history, Alabama's offense is having to carry the team, not the defense, which is just incredibly uncharacteristic for a Saban coach team.
Unorthodox.
And is very unorthodox, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that we've got 5 freshmen starting on the defense. Due to injury, due to attrition. So we've had to make the best of what we got. But one thing that really sticks out to me about our defense right now, and this is a very big thing that we need to look at going against one of the best offenses in the nation, Alabama ranks 43rd in the nation on third downs. That means they're not getting people off the field. And that's something that you cannot do against a high-powered LSU. They're also allowing 127.4 rushing yards per game, too. So it's been maybe break kind of a defense, but they're giving out a whole heck of a lot more for comfort right now. So they're going to have to play the best game of their life against LSU. Am I expecting, a team like, 2011 or here recently in 2016 where we put an NFL squad on the field? No, but it's going to come down to a few key stops on third downs, which Alabama struggled with, and a few things bouncing their way here and there that they had to capitalize on.
Tyler Turner, Joe Burrow, you rate him number 1 in your Heisman rankings. How big would he come this weekend?
Sorry, ask that question again. Sorry, I was having a coughing attack.
No, I understand. Can Joe Burrow lead LSU to win against Alabama?
Well, I kind of already answered that question. I said, yeah, I'm picking Alabama. Now, I am going to say one thing about the Alabama. I'm trying to look at it right now. I don't know why my rankings are all screwed up. When it comes to defense, they're not Justin, I'm sorry, but your Alabama defense is not as bad as you're making it sound. They're number 5 in efficiency. They're number 6 in the SP+. They're number, I believe, I'm doing this off the top of my head, but I believe they're like number 7 in scoring defense. You still have a top 10 defense. You still have NFL guys on all levels, especially in your defensive backfield. So maybe it's not up to the crazy standard of Alabama where people really couldn't score on them ever for years, and they had the number 1 defense and basically every single guy was a first-round draft pick. But you still have one of the best defenses in the country. It's still the best defense that Joe Burrow has faced. I mean, granted, Auburn is a pretty good defense. He didn't look as good either against Auburn. And the thing is, another thing to take notice is LSU, he didn't look as good, and Auburn's offense was horrible. So imagine Joe Burrow playing a defense that's pretty close to as good as Auburn, especially when you look at the metrics. Maybe not quite as good, but pretty close. But that has an offense that's as good as LSU. On the road, they were playing Auburn at home. LSU is playing. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, when you look, I just think. I mean, when you look at that, they're playing at home, coming off a bye. They still have one of a top 10 defense. I'll go along with the top offense. Yeah, I mean, as long as Tua Tagovailoa can play, the problem is if it's Mac Jones, I just don't know if the offense is going to be as good for Alabama.
Justin?
But Alabama's defense is a lot better than how you're saying it. You're acting like Alabama doesn't have a. You're like, man, they're just giving them all these yards.
They're ranked 20.
I'm just telling you that you're looking at things from maybe a little bit of a different perspective than it actually is.
Justin, any answer with that? Do you feel confident now?
Well, I do get what he's saying with how they're ranked in certain areas, but I'm just looking at the game within the game. You know, they can give up long plays. They can get gashed in the running game. Yes, our secondary is very good.
But you're okay. Well, sorry, not to interrupt you, but actually, right there, the run game where you could be susceptible. LSU's run game is not that good. Their offensive line's not that good. They don't have that running back that they normally do. So right there, where they could have an edge, they don't even have the running game. And where you guys are good, you match up well against their good. Sorry, I just interrupt you, meaning like I don't think LSU even matches up the best against Alabama. Except LSU does have good defensive backs. That being said, LSU does have really good defensive backs. And the best part of your offense is wide receivers. So then they kind of cancel each other out, and vice versa. The best part of your defense is the defensive backfield, and they have good wide receivers, meaning one of your run games, which is not quite as good as they normally are, has to step up. So I didn't even think about from that angle, meaning that you guys do cancel out your good a little bit.
He's saying there's a chance. Okay, stick with Tyler. What if
Sorry,
Mac...
No. Well, no, you can let him finish. You can let it.
Justin, go ahead and finish. Go ahead, Justin. Go ahead and finish.
Well, yeah, actually,
you can't go against what he said.
Well, I'm not going against it. Yeah, he's right. Both goods cancel each other. The other's goods out. That's why I was thinking the game. In this piddle is going to be who can make 1 or 2, 3 extra plays. Who can make the fewest mistakes. That's going to be what's most critical in this game because it's going to be trading punch after punch. So they kind of mirror each other on what they're both good at.
Well, they are.
They both have the best wide receiving core in the nation. They both have one of the best secondaries in the nation. So it's going to be a dogfight. Seeing NFL receivers against NFL DBs all night long. It's going to be a chess match. But like I said, it's going to come down to who can get that extra play, like I said, or maybe 2 or 3 extra plays. It's going to make the difference in the whole game.
Tyler, hypothetically speaking, if Mac Jones had to play the whole game this Saturday, can Alabama still beat LSU?
I just don't think he's proven quite probably enough, and that is a really good secondary. And I think they would be able to make some plays on him. He just doesn't – he played good against Arkansas, and that is a really good receiving core, but that is a good defensive backfield. So to face one of the better defensive backfields in college football while playing in one of your first games, it's not great. They would really need – Alabama's defense would actually have to play really well, and they'd have to cause some turnovers. I do think Alabama actually could still win, yeah. I would be hesitant to pick Alabama, though.
Kailu, if you're a betting man and Mac Jones played this weekend, do you think Alabama can still beat LSU?
I don't think they would be able to. I think if Tua is 80 to 85%, I think they would be able to. But if Mac Jones, because most of the time he comes in, it's in blowouts. So I think if Mac Jones has to play most of this game, a majority of this game, I don't think that they have a chance to win this game unless Bama's defense is able to create multiple turnovers. That's the only way I see them able to win this game if Mac Jones is forced to play that much.
Anything else before we move on from LSU, Alabama? Justin?
No.
Justin Riley?
No, I'll have to echo, what they're saying if Mac Jones comes in, because if Mac Jones comes in, it really just changes the entire face of the offense and what they're able to do. You're going to see a lot of high percentage, throws, some dink and dunks here and there, trying to warm him up. And maybe he might loosen up down in the game, later on part of the game, but the offense is going to get slowed down a whole lot more. And yes, the receiving core is great, but there's a difference between Mac Jones throwing the ball. There's a difference between Tua Tagovailoa throwing the ball. The chemistry is going to be a lot different. The timing is going to be a lot different. It just changes everything. And then Alabama has to start to rely on that run game, which is getting better. That offensive line has been getting better. And then we'd have to rely heavily upon Najee Harris to actually be the guy we thought he was going to be coming out of high school. But you can't really slow things down or be one-dimensional against LSU. If you do that, they'll eat you alive. But if Bo Nix can somewhat manage to, flip-flop through LSU, then I think Mac Jones can do a whole lot more. I will say that.
Yeah, this game has so much weight. It feels like a championship final to me, to be honest. And maybe Justin might feel the same. For him, he calls it a playoff game. But anyways, this is not an Alabama show completely. Let's go into our article that Tyler wrote about the Heisman top 5 as of November 5th. You got Joe Burrow first, second Chase Young, third Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa in fourth, and tied for fifth Justin Fields and Justin Herbert. Justin, we'll go with Tyler. Can you explain your order there and why did you choose those top 5?
I mean, Joe Burrow has had a terrific year. Not only is he probably the favorite right now when it comes to the Heisman, he's actually, I mean, according to Kuiper, McShay, Dan Brugler of The Athletic, he's in a three. I posted a video today. I think you guys got it from Kuiper. It really does sound like, as far as the NFL community is going, it's a 3-horse race for the top quarterback between Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, and Justin Herbert. So all that put together, he's won big games, put up big numbers. That's why I have him first. Number 2, Chase Young. He's the best defensive player in college football. It's not even close. He's absolutely terrific. He's probably going to be the number 1 player picked in the draft. He might be the best defensive player in the past decade in college football. Wow. That's the main reason why I think Ohio State's the best team in college football. No one else has a guy in the defensive line like him. Jalen Hurts, he's continued to play very well. He's putting up terrific numbers. He's one of the most efficient quarterbacks. I'm on the phone. Sorry, my daughter interrupted me. He's one of the most efficient quarterbacks. That's a bad loss, and if they don't make the playoff, I bet Hurts maybe falls even lower than 3. And then 4, Tua's put up amazing numbers. He's been terrific when he's played. He's just been injured the last 2 games. He'd probably be second otherwise. And then I put a tie between Fields and Herbert. Numbers similar. I think Herbert has to lead his team more than Fields. I think Fields has a better team around him. Herbert's been really good the last couple of weeks. He was terrific against USC. That's my top 5.
Pretty good list. I think I've seen other lists very close to this. Kailu, Jalen Hurts, have you been impressed with this season, and can he win the Heisman?
I think I've been really impressed with Jalen Hurts this year. He has 2,469 passing yards. He's completing 73.9% of his passes, 21 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. However, I think there's 2 people ahead of him. I think Joe Burrow's ahead of him. Chase Young's having a sensational year, 29 tackles, 13.5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles. So I would definitely have him ahead of them too, especially if they make the college football playoffs. That kind of gives them more of an edge. So I have Joe Burrow, Chase Young, Justin Fields, and Jalen Hurts rounding out the top 4, my top 4.
Justin Riley, what are the chances for Tua to win the Heisman, even though they measure this thing game by game and him missing games hurts his chances?
Well, unfortunately, like you said, right now, if you miss any kind of time in this generation of the Heisman race, it's going to put you at a great disadvantage. He's going to have to, have a come-behind victory, as it were. He was on great pace to actually shatter his records from last year. He already has 2,166 yards, 27 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. Unfortunately for him, he got hurt. Now, if he comes back out and he picks up where he left off of, 300 or to 350 yards passing a game, 4 touchdowns or more per game like he was doing, that puts him right back in the thick of things. However, people are enamored with new. People are enamored with Joe Burrow, and with good reason. Joe Burrow has heads and tails above everyone else right now. And unless something happens, I kind of look at it as he's running away with it at the moment. Now, I would rather give it to Chase Young just because of what he's been able to do. It's freaking fantastic. But as we know, defensive players aren't really going to get the look that they are deserving, even though it's supposed to be the best player in college football. We haven't seen a defensive player win it since Charles Woodson. This would be the guy to break that trend, and deservedly so. But yeah, Joe Burrow right now is the man to beat unless he just completely drops off or, like I say, he suffers an injury and misses some time. Jalen Hurts is doing just phenomenal right now. He's just incredible. He's putting up the numbers. He's doing what he's supposed to do. Unfortunately, Oklahoma's defense is not doing what they're supposed to do, which caused them that loss against Kansas State. And I think that really hurts them, even though he had nothing to do with it. That loss against Kansas State and the fact that, that the defense isn't doing what Oklahoma needs to do to get them where they need to be is going to hurt them. But everything he's doing is right. You couldn't ask him to do any more. And if you do strictly on eye test and what he's able to do, that puts him in the front. I mean, I think that makes him 1A with Joe Burrow. but that loss does not help him whatsoever.
There you have it, Heisman. Of course, there's still a couple more weeks left. We'll see what happens. The big games are coming up, so we'll see if these guys are tough enough to win these games for their teams. Let's go around and talk about your conferences and your team, and so far, what have you seen so far? We'll start with Tyler. Tyler, so far the Pac-12 in Oregon. What has been your observation? Has the conference gotten stronger? Like so far?
Well, everyone said we're dead. The narrative out there in the national media was Pac-12 was dead after the Week 1 loss to Auburn by Oregon, but that's stupid. Week 1. Well, Pac-12 do better. I mean, they have 2 top 10 teams. They have 2 good teams. Pac-12 has 2 good teams. The good thing is, you have a conference like the SEC that has 5 good teams. You have Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, LSU, and Florida. And then you have the Big Ten that, has the best teams, I think, Penn State, but you still got very good teams in Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin. I'm missing someone. Whatever. And then even the Big 12 is, Baylor, Oklahoma, Kansas State's in the top, and Oklahoma State are in the top. And then ACC, just as Clem said, well, right now Pac-12 has Utah and Oregon, no other teams in the top 25, and they have been significantly better than everyone else. They're better. Look at the metrics. They're better offensively than everyone. They're the 2 most efficient offenses. They're the 2 most efficient defenses. A little better defense statistically is Utah, but Oregon's played better teams. I also think Oregon's been better at taking the ball away. I think a little more efficient offense is Utah, but Oregon has had more explosive plays. But I think they're the 2 best teams. I think, and I hope that they both win out, and it's 11-1 versus 11-1 with a possible college football playoff on the line. And that would make a terrific season for the Pac-12. They couldn't ask for any better than that. And hopefully it's Oregon that's standard bearer for the conference. And I hope that's how it turns out.
Justin, SEC obviously still strong. What were your thoughts so far this season?
Yeah, SEC is still top heavy. That's the biggest thing. That has not changed. That narrative is still alive and thriving. Alabama right now, like I said, Tua is off to a very, very good start, and if not for that injury slowing him down, he'll be paced to do even greater things than last year. I did put down our defense a lot, and Tyler pointed that out pretty well. All right, like he said earlier, running game is not quite as dominant as we'd like or what we're used to. But the wide receivers are the stars of the show right now. But speaking of wide receivers, the biggest surprise for Alabama is right now Jalen Waddle has been somewhat quiet this year. Really hasn't taken off quite yet, or really been quite as explosive as we all thought he would be this year. Matter of fact, I even thought he might become the wide receiver that kind of takes over that spot from Jerry Jeudy. But we still got time. And right now, it's the star of the show. Actually, is our punter, Ty Perrine, averaging 47 yards per punt, which is a big deal for Alabama, especially going into LSU. But because before Perrine came in, we were averaging 30 yards a punt, and that's not good. And a game against a team like LSU, field position is so critical. Having Ty Perrine coming in, adding this extra dimension to our special teams is going to be very, very critical to what we're able to do against LSU. Terrell Lewis, Trayvon Diggs, and Anthony Jennings are on fire right now, especially Anthony Jennings. And Terrell Lewis. They seem to be just getting better and better each week. The biggest question right now on the defense, though, is where's Raekwon Davis? He came back this year, opted to get out of the NFL draft to improve his stock, but he's been somewhat quiet this year. So what's going on with him? And is he going to erupt against LSU, which we do need? We need him to be worthy of that first round, our top round that's kind of what I see at Alabama. As far as Auburn goes, it goes without saying, and I'm sure that the rest of y'all can pretty much agree with this. They have the best defense in the country with the worst offense. Matter of fact, a former NFL GM was down in Auburn this year, and he said it best. He said they got the best team in the nation, but they're the worst coached. Garrett Brown is the heart and soul of that defense and that team. And he single-handedly has kept Auburn in games and has even put Auburn in position to win games. Unfortunately, the Bo Nix project is not allowing them to get past some hurdles, big hurdles. Against top teams, his completion percentage is only 41%. Not good at all. Biggest thing from the Auburn camp right here lately, Joey Gatewood has left the team to pursue other things. He's actually visiting Kentucky, I believe, this weekend as a possibility. But Auburn's got a lot of talent. It's just they're not being coached, and they really could be in a lot better position than where they are right now. Florida.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're
Florida,
going full-fledged. No, go. Yeah, keep going.
Well, I just I'm hitting on the teams that really have stood out. Florida, they got kind of started off a little rocky, but this is a team that we are watching growing up before our eyes. And the turning point for them was when Felipe Franks went down. It seems like the team has responded a whole lot better under Kyle Trask. I feel like he is the leader, the face of that team right now. And also Florida has played one of the most brutal schedules in the nation, let's be honest. But I think they have answered the call pretty well. They played the best game against LSU, and if it weren't for a few key mistakes there, they really could have won that game. But then you look on the other side against Georgia, they played probably the worst game. They actually didn't show up until the second half. It's like they were playing, they were very anxious, and they really couldn't settle in. Like I said, in the second half, they were able to rally twice, but at that point, it was a little too late. And I was really looking for Florida in that Georgia game to actually win that game and take that next step. But it appears they're not quite ready for that. But they still got a lot to play for.
That's it. SEC's done. It's
well, no, well,
you didn't cover Arkansas,
Georgia,
which I was really looking forward to, but.
Oh, you want to look forward to Arkansas? I mean, I have a few notes on Arkansas, but to be honest with you, I think we pretty much got the point of Arkansas, and that is they're absolutely horrible. They're still they're at the bottom of a massive rebuild right now. If you look across the board, majority of their players are freshmen. They showed a little bit of a pulse against A&M and Kentucky, but to no avail. The biggest thing about Arkansas is they're okay, but when they start to face just a little bit of adversity, they give up. That's it. They're done. Matter of fact, they're down to their third-string quarterback. And he happens to be the grandson of Cowboys owner Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I heard about that.
The biggest thing about Arkansas right now is Rakeem Boyd. He's the best running back in the country on the worst team.
Wow.
He'll be the NFL though, so there is light at the end of the tunnel. And the Arkansas faithful are actually
we'll go with Tyler. Tyler, what do you got to say?
Already.
Okay, I was going to kick back and say, so you think Auburn is not well coached?
That's what he said. Yep.
No, not offensively. No, they're not. Defensively, yeah, they're on point.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that's a little bit of the problem is that they just don't have a quarterback because he is just a true freshman.
He's an amateur.
I think it's kind of stunting their offense because I just think it's a little more of a talent issue than a coaching issue.
Justin?
I feel like they've got talent there, but I just don't feel like I don't really like Malzahn's ability to develop players as advertised by Jarrett Stidham. I think Stidham underperformed, and not because of any fault of his own. I still don't feel like that Malzahn can really do anything with quarterbacks. I mean, the only thing he has is he can hang his hat on is Cam Newton. But let's be honest, Cam Newton got to where he is because of his ability and how good he was in college. It wasn't because of anything Malzahn did that was just epic. But that's fair.
Fair enough. You've proven
And
the
he's on
point.
That's
coach.
fair. I think when it comes to Auburn, for instance, if you're going to compare and you make a point there, but I do think Auburn's lacking a little bit of talent. I think the metrics, especially based on talent, would kind of agree with that. Meaning, I don't think Auburn quite has as much talent as an LSU, Alabama, or Georgia. Now, Georgia, for instance, if they would have somehow lost to Florida, I think who would have been questioned big time would be someone like Kirby Smart, and they got out of there with a victory, but I think Kirby Smart is kind of underperforming with the amount of talent he has in the roster. Meaning Georgia should be playing for the national title if you look at just talent. They have as much.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah,
They
whereas
still can.
Auburn and Florida don't quite have as much talent. So I think even Florida, Kyle Trask is doing the best that he can. He's just not as good as a Joe Burrow or a Tua.
Tagovailoa. Don't worry about it. Just say Tua.
I get it.
I don't have
my brain right now.
I don't have
my brain right now. Tua Tagovailoa. And even Jake Fromm. So I just would say that Auburn and Florida, I wouldn't say they didn't play to their abilities. I wouldn't necessarily say that it was coaching. I just don't think they're as talented as LSU, Alabama, and Georgia. And at the end of the day, Jimmy's and Joe's is what makes you win titles. I think the metrics would show that. And I think the issue more with those teams, it really comes down to more they need to get more talented guys in the roster if they want to compete on a regular basis with Georgia, Alabama, and LSU in the SEC.
Anything else, Justin? Final rebuttal. I'll forever hold your peace.
Well, I was going to, pick you back off what you said about Georgia. Georgia is definitely the most talented team in the nation and one of the most underperforming teams. That offensive line is solid talent-wise, but yet they were able to be pushed around by South Carolina. And that just doesn't make sense to me. They had the tools to be elite, and like Tyler said, be in a position to win a national title. But it's kind of if you watch their body language, they've been very complacent over the course of the last 3 games, not including Florida. And it's like they didn't want to be there. It's just like they thought, okay, we're just going to show up and just kind of do whatever we got to do, and we're out. That fire is not there. But that fire did return against Florida. That was the most energized Georgia team I've seen the entire season since Notre Dame, maybe. So they got it within them, and if they actually gave a damn, they would be in position to win a national championship. And Jake Fromm, he does draw a lot of criticism, but Jake Fromm has the uncanny ability to show up in the biggest games when Georgia needs them the most. He showed up against Florida, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, and was able to convert. I forgot what the percentage was on 3rd down, but it's very rare that Georgia was going back to the bench on 3rd down, and that was the biggest difference in the game. They have very talented wide receivers. Lawrence Cager erupted this past week, and I think he has the ability to actually be a big play wide receiver. It's just we're going to see what can he build off of this big game against Florida. DeAndre Swift is still probably the best back in the nation, or at least one of the best backs in the nation. He hasn't slowed down. He's still producing at a high level. My question is, going into Missouri this week, will Georgia be complacent and kind of play ho-hum, or are they going to come out on fire?
This is their trap game.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be as a feeling of a South Carolina game. But if Georgia comes out on fire, then it's no problem.
Justin, due to time, we gotta keep going. Let me know if you're done, but if you do, you'll have less than a minute. So
I'm good.
Okay, Kailu, Big 12, really quick. What are your observations so far?
Baylor's really surprised me. Oklahoma's 9. Jalen Hurts has been great, but our defense still continues to struggle. We have Kansas State, who had a really impressive win. Baylor's 12. They've really surprised me this year. They're 8-0, 5-0 at home, 3-0 away. They're in an 8-game win streak. They're first in the conference. Don't think they'll win the conference. I think Oklahoma will end up winning out. They'll end up playing each other in the Big 12. Oklahoma will win the Big 12. Nothing really. Kansas State had that really good win. Texas has 2 quality losses to LSU and Oklahoma. So they're obviously thought they were back. There's still a little bit ways to go in terms of like being all the way back to Texas football, but nothing really surprising. Just Oklahoma and Baylor will be in the Big 12 championship game.
And Tyler, Big Ten, give us the Cliff Notes version.
Ohio State's really good.
That's it.
I think, like I said, once again, I think Ohio State's the best team in the nation. Number one in offensive efficiency. I think they're number one in defensive efficiency. Maybe number 2 in offensive efficiency. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the country. They have a terrific offensive line, terrific receiving core. They also have a terrific running back in J.K. Dobbins. They have great defensive line. Chase Young is the best defensive player, especially in the defensive line, but probably defensive player overall in college football. They have great defensive backfield, Jeffrey Okudah, Sean Wade. They're just a great team. They're just supremely talented. I think they, man for man, have the most talented roster right now in college football. I know slight edge goes in the baseline metrics to Alabama, but when you go for all the guys that are out for the season injured for Alabama, Dylan Moses, Trey Sanders, the other guy who plays linebacker, I think Ohio State, who does not have those injuries, has more guys playing. So I think Ohio State is the most talented team on the field right now. Penn State, I talked to you before the season, they have top 10 talent, and that has come to fruition, especially on defense. Guys like Micah Parsons, Brandon Smith, defensive backs like Fields, and defensive line that can really get after it. Gross Montes. So many of these guys have confusing names this year, by the way. He has like three letters. Is his first name Gross Montes or something? The defensive lineman is one of the best defensive linemen to be a first-round draft pick. They're a good offense. I do question their offense a little bit. I don't think Clifford is elite. They have 2 good young running backs in Slade and Noah Cain. I love KJ Hamler. I don't like any receiver outside of him. They have a couple good tight ends. Their offense is still a little bit of a question mark, and you saw that in games against like Iowa, Michigan, and Pittsburgh. But I like them. Wisconsin's a good team, not as talented as like Ohio State and stuff, but still a good team. Iowa's a good team, not as talented once again. Michigan's coming back to life. We have 5 teams in the top 25. Nebraska was an absolute disappointment. They're not good at all. I don't know what's going on there. They have more talent than how they're performing. They're losing to teams that are less talented than them. And Minnesota. Hey, Minnesota's 8-0. They have beaten no one. Absolutely nobody. So just put that for the record. They've either barely beaten a couple non-Power 5s in an FCS school, and they've played a bunch of teams that are not playing with their starting quarterbacks. I think they get beat up by Penn State. It is at home. They are going to be amped up. Also, the weather's kind of crappy up here. I live up here. So I give them a fighting chance, but they also play Iowa and Wisconsin coming up. I think they end up losing 2-3 games. I think this is Ohio State's conference, but in a couple weeks, Ohio State versus Penn State, that's a heck of a game. Oof. And you never know. Penn State is the one team in the Big Ten that has the talent to beat Ohio State. I'm always kind of a closet Penn State fan, to be honest with you. They'd probably be my second favorite team to Oregon, just an FYI. That's probably why I noticed their talent got so good. But Nebraska's second. But Nebraska's so bad I can't follow them anymore. But Penn State's probably like third. But I don't know if I really want them beating Ohio State, because I think Ohio State would get into the playoffs. A one-loss Ohio State not winning the Big Ten because of all their other victories. They would have several top 25 victories, and just the eye test of how good they are, I think they would get in over anyone. I'm talking about Oklahoma. I'm talking about Oregon. I'm talking about Utah. I'm talking about Alabama. I think a one-loss Ohio State would get in. So I kind of hope they just kind of went out, because I think they're a really good team anyways, and they're probably, if I was going to predict the national title right now, I would take Ohio State over anybody.
You heard it from here.
That's
Tyler
right,
Turner.
Justin.
You heard
That's right, Justin. I think they'd beat Alabama by 2 touchdowns.
Liar.
We'll see what happens. The games have to be played. So Anyways, go ahead, Tyler. Anything else? We're good, right? Big Ten is good.
That's it. Yep.
Glad you touched about Minnesota Gophers. They're bottom dwellers, undefeated, but I think you're right. They got a tough, 3 games ahead, so it doesn't look good for them if they stay undefeated, but we'll see. The games have to be played. Ready for game predictions?
Yep. Sure.
Round robin, not too much explanation. I mean, unless you really, really have to, okay? Tyler, FSU at Boston College.
Are the police after you?
That's Kailua in New York City, right?
FSU.
Oh, what'd you steal? Well, FSU, I mean, they just lost their coach. We didn't talk at all about that. We didn't talk at all about who's going to be the next head coach at FSU, guys.
Real quick, is it like Norvell or something I've been hearing?
He's
Lane
not a
Kiffin
favorite
watch.
right now.
Oh, Lane Kiffin would be a
No,
good
it's
candidate. Wow.
No,
I'm just
he's
kidding.
not
I
going to be. He hasn't even been
I'm
good
joking.
the last couple of years.
I'm joking.
Dude.
but
Urban Meyer.
I got
Okay.
Who do you guys?
man.
Okay, so next coach. Okay, quick. Next coach at Florida State. Next coach at USC.
Justin.
I say Norvell. I say Norvell's going to be at Florida State. He's a great coach, and I had my first opportunity to see what he was all about this past weekend. Man, he's just a heck of a guy, doing some amazing things in Memphis, and I don't see how he doesn't wind up with a big gig.
Kailua, who? Well, USC. Justin, finish that one off. Sorry, real quick, Justin. Real quick.
It's up in the air for me right now. To be honest with you.
Kailua,
could come back.
FSU. Who's be the coach? You can pass.
At FSU, I was hearing a lot about the defensive line coach for Wisconsin for FSU.
Wow.
And for USC, for USC, I think it's possible the defensive line coach for Wisconsin.
Where have you heard that?
I just seen it like some rumor, but
I guess Tyler does not agree with that.
Defensive line. Are you talking about Jim Leonard, the defensive coordinator for Wisconsin?
Yes. Yeah, him.
Yeah, he could be an outside candidate. Yeah, okay, that makes a little more sense.
And for USC, I think it'd be hard pressed for Urban Meyer. He's a big guy. He's a big name. I think it'd be hard for him to turn. He's working for Fox. I think that they're going to put all their chips. I don't think he would take the job, but I think for USC, they need a big name. The program's struggling right now. They're losing a lot of in-state recruits. So I don't think he would take the job, but I think that they're definitely going to put their chips on the line. And I think if they offer a big payday, it would be hard pressed to not take that job.
Tyler, who are your guesses?
For FSU, Jim Leonard, I actually haven't heard that. Actually, he's a good coach. It's tricky, but I think it's Mike Norvell. He's done a terrific job at Memphis. He's a good offensive mind. The thing is, if you're going to try to turn around like a team that at least has athletes, I think you turn it around on the offensive side of the ball with a dynamic, kind of innovative offense, and that's kind of what Norvell is. And so I'd go Norvell. And USC, yeah, you're going to go after Meyer. I don't think he's going to be a coach. I think if Penn State loses and doesn't make college football playoff, I think James Franklin leads Penn State to USC. But if he makes the playoff, he's not. If he leads into the playoff, he's not leaving Penn State. And I think they end up landing Luke Fickell at Cincinnati because they just hired his AD. Fickell's done a good job. He certainly is the highest-rated team in the non-Power 5. I think Cincinnati ultimately probably is a representative for the non-Power 5 in the New Year's Six. So I think it's either going to be Franklin or Fickell, and I go with Norvell at Florida State.
Guys, love your predictions. Urban Meyer's going to the Cowboys.
That would not shock me. Wouldn't shock me. Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to predictions. Now, this time it's going to be just a one answer because the time is we're way overboard. FSU at Boston. Tyler, who you got?
Do you have a date, Santiago? I have Boston College.
Justin Riley.
Boston College.
Kailua Borden.
Boston College.
Wow, no one picked FSU. Wow. Okay.
Hey, they might play better now that
they could win.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes these teams perform better after their old coach leaves. Anyways, Tennessee
They
at
might.
Kentucky. Tyler.
Tennessee.
Okay, JR got Tennessee. Tyler?
Tennessee.
Kailu?
Tennessee.
Wow.
Tennessee.
Mizzou at Georgia. Tyler.
Are you calling names?
Oh,
Can we just-
Georgia.
Justin Riley.
Georgia.
Kailu Borden.
Georgia.
Iowa State at Oklahoma. Tyler Turner.
A little tricky. I think Oklahoma, but would not be shocked if Iowa State.
You would think. Kailu, Iowa State at Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma has to bounce back off the bye. I think Oklahoma's defense plays better this week, and I definitely see Jalen Hurts continue to do what he's doing. Oklahoma.
Justin Riley.
Oklahoma, but it's going to be close.
Wow. I didn't realize that. Kansas State at Texas. Tyler Turner, who you got?
Texas is getting healthier. I think Texas wins this game.
Justin
That's
Riley.
a tough game, though.
Yeah, it is.
Texas.
Is it close, Justin? Kansas State at Texas.
Texas can't tackle anybody. I mean, they can't even tackle a 90-year-old grandma that's coming at them. They're actually the worst tackling teams in the country right now. But, I'm going to go with Kansas State. I see a lot more out of them than I'm seeing from Texas right now.
Kailu.
Kansas State in an upset.
Wow. There you have it. Tyler, Notre Dame at Duke.
Notre Dame.
Justin Riley.
It's terrible.
Notre Dame.
Kailu Borden.
Notre Dame by a lot.
Okay, here we go. Penn State and Minnesota. Tyler Turner. In your backyard.
The only thing is off of bye, bad weather. I think Penn State's better. They're better. And Minnesota hasn't played anyone worth a darn. And then they have to go against Penn State. I go Penn State.
Justin Riley.
I think that Minnesota's going to show up in the first half of the game, energized and just really fired up. But that's going to fade away pretty quickly. Penn State's going to be undefeated.
Kailu Borden.
Penn State.
The mother of all games this weekend, LSU at Alabama. Tyler, who takes it?
If Tua Tagovailoa can come out and look pretty good, I feel pretty comfortable saying Alabama. Now, if he's hurt and not playing well and they have to bring in Mac Jones, it could be a little problematic. I'm going to go thinking that Tua is going to be fine. I'm going with Alabama.
Kailu Borden.
I think Bama is going to win. I think LSU is a great, terrific team. But the combination of if Tua is 80 to 85%, they have the mental edge. And I think that Bama's great when they hear all the doubters. They hear what everybody's saying. They hear what everybody's saying on television about if they don't win this game, they don't make the playoffs. It's a home game for them. They don't lose home games. Part of it's because they never play nobody, but at home of significance. But I think Bama wins this one in a close game because, yeah, Bama wins this one.
Justin, we're 2 for 3 for Alabama. Will you make it Alabama as well?
Biggest thing for Alabama to win this game, they're going to take advantage of home field right off the bat. I think the team that sets the tone early is probably going to be in the driver's seat for the majority of this game. And like I said, it's going to really come down to a couple of things. What I just mentioned, how healthy is Tua Tagovailoa, and can we keep him healthy? Can we keep him from getting the big hits and being taken out of the game? And then two, we're going to have to establish some defense. We're going to have to not so much stop LSU, but just kind of limit them here and there. That being said, I believe Alabama wins this one, but it's going to be a close one at the end.
And here's my question: does the score margin will matter like in this game? Anyone?
If LSU beats Bama, let's say 45-28 on their home field, that's not going to be great for Bama if they're a one-loss
Absolutely
champion, losing on their home. And if LSU loses 45-28, it's not they lose. That's a significant margin, but it is on the road, so it's not quite as bad. If LSU loses a really close game to Alabama on the road, I mean, once again, a one-loss SEC team is pretty alive.
They're still breathing, right, Justin?
Well,
They're
yeah,
more
especially
breathing.
at LSU.
LSU is way more breathing if they lose a close game to Alabama on the road.
I mean, they really are.
Breathing really good. Yeah,
they're sitting pretty, to be honest with you, just because they have the strength of schedule. They have everything in their favor. If they lose and lose a small margin, you might as well just go ahead and book them in there, unless they just have a come apart against a team they shouldn't.
Thursday night football.
Which could happen,
Alabama
by the way.
Yeah. What was that, Tyler?
Alabama, either way.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I could totally see LSU doing a dumper against Texas A&M, whereas I don't see Alabama doing that. That's another reason why I kind of want Alabama to win, because it's
it benefits Oregon.
Yeah, because I could just see LSU all of a sudden doing a dump against. I don't know, because it's kind of been their MO. Now they could be better this year. I don't know.
I've in my past history of college football, I've never seen Pac-12 and SEC have a connection like that. They kind of dependent on each other.
I will say this though too. I think a lot of the LSU players are basing the entire season on this one game right here, and they're just so frustrated because of 8 years in a row. And hearing all the chatter about how Alabama is bested them and embarrassed them, especially on the home field last year, they really are putting their whole season in this game. So if they unfortunately lose, it's really going to – well, not unfortunately, but if they lose, it's really going to be interesting to see what their temperament is going to be after this. They still feel like a team who's still alive, or do they start feeling a little bit sorry for themselves because they couldn't knock Goliath off finally?
Yeah, definitely get that monkey off their back. LSU needs to go through Alabama. They need to beat Alabama. From what I've gathered, it feels like Alabama is a must-win. Everyone's hoping for Alabama to win. Obviously, depends on the quarterback. We don't know if Mac Jones can live up to that moment. We trust more Tua. So it's going to be interesting. Really looking forward to it. 3:30 p.m. Justin Timberlake will be at that game, if you guys don't know.
Oh, that's more of a reason to watch.
So, the biggest game of the weekend by far. And round robin, really quick tonight. Thursday night football. Chargers at the Raiders. Kylu, who you got?
I think the Chargers win this game. I think they come on the road. The Raiders are very average. They've surprised people this year, but I think the Chargers they always play well in the second half of the year. I think they continue that trend. They're not going to win the AFC West, but Patrick Mahomes come back. I think he come back this week. He's practicing. He's had 3 weeks off. I think he comes back this week if he's healthy. He's had plenty of time. I think if you practice on Wednesday in football, I think that's the key that you actually play on Sunday. But I think the Chargers win this week. I think that they continue to mojo. They obviously had a surprising victory over Green Bay last week, so I think that they continue their second half run. Anthony Lynn's a terrific coach in the second half, so I think they continue that mojo.
You guys want to comment on that game?
I'll comment. Chargers do not win, and I think they get a large dose of Josh Jacobs, and he runs for 200 yards, and the Raiders win that game.
Tyler Turner.
Raiders.
And there you have it, guys. A lot of good games this weekend. LSU, Alabama, Penn State, Minnesota. The Alabama and LSU game will be at 3:30 p.m. A lot of eyeballs will be eyeing that game. Let's go around. How can people reach you? Well, actually, hold on. Let's do a random question.
We get the
random question. Which today the poll is: what is your favorite Starbucks drink? Let's go with Tyler.
Cold brew. Large cold brew.
That's a good one. I've had that. Kylu, do you drink coffee?
Venti cold brew.
A frap.
Frappuccino. And Justin Riley?
I'm not paying $5 for coffee, so I'll go to the gas station instead.
Gross.
I'd rather go to Dunkin' Donuts, the poor man's Starbucks. White chocolate mocha
Hey, there you go.
won 47%. Mocha coffee won 33%. Pumpkin spice latte got 20%. Frappuccino got 0. So,
Wow.
I'm surprised about
I mean,
Frappuccino.
some girls didn't vote. I guess girls didn't vote, man.
Tyler, how can people reach you online to talk to you about Minnesota Gophers?
Minnesota Gophers. Don't talk to me. You know, this is the second time you've said that. How can you reach me to talk about Minnesota Gophers? Don't talk to me about the Gophers. At Turner Cap.
Justin, how can people talk to you about Jerry Jeudy?
Oh, Jerry Jeudy. I thought you were going to say Ty Perron, our punter. But
Hey, hold on a second. We didn't even talk about Herbert, Burrow, and Tua. I did mention it, though. We didn't talk about that.
What now?
Herbert versus Tua?
Herbert, Tua, and Burrow for the first quarterback taken in the NFL draft.
Real quick, who you got?
Man.
I think it's Joe Burrow. It feels like his stock is going up.
Yeah,
think
remember he's the new kid on the block. He's a pretty little princess that came into the party. I mean, he is
Flavor
good.
of the week.
There's a lot of good things. I'm telling you right now. Okay. Herbert won 2 games in a row last minute. He also had a great game against USC. And at the end of the day, he's 6'6", 240 pounds. He's going to run a 4.6 at the combine. He's going to have the best arm at the combine. I think Herbert takes it. At the end of the day, they're going to go with the 6'6", 240-pound Greek god. Come on.
That could happen.
But Tua, if Tua wasn't so injury prone, I would say he's the safest number 1 pick. But the injuries is something to worry about because he's so small.
Justin Riley, how can people reach you and talk to you about Herbert, or who will be the number 1 quarterback picked in the NFL draft next season?
Which question did I answer first?
Not the Jerry Jeudy. Everyone knows about that. But real quick, who's your number 1 NFL pick right now?
Number one NFL pick, just because everybody is so flavor of the week and so just new kid on the block. And, oh, look, he's so pretty and shiny. I think based on that, they're going to pick Joe Burrow. And to be honest with you, I'd rather them pick him so that Tua doesn't go to the Dolphins and ends his career the first year he gets hurt.
Yeah, that's true.
But if we were realistic and everybody wasn't so flavor of the week centered, I definitely think that Justin Herbert will be picked first. But I also believe that Joe Burrow is the guy. How can you reach me? You can reach me at 121training. That's the number 12, 1 spelled out training. That's on Twitter and Instagram. I also help contribute a lot to our Twitter account for the Sportscast at Sportscast1.
And he'll be live tweeting the Alabama LSU game. Kailu, how can people reach you, and who you got for number 1 pick in the NFL? Number 1 quarterback in the NFL next year.
They can reach me at Caillou Borden 12 on Instagram and Twitter. And I think Justin Herbert is going to be the number 1 overall pick. But don't rule out Joe Burrow. I know he's a flavor of the month. Don't rule out Joe Burrow. I know he's a flavor of the month. But just like with Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Just like with Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray, anything can happen between now and the combine.
This
but
weekend.
I definitely think Justin Herbert. Yeah, I think Justin Herbert's going to be the number 1 quarterback taken. I don't think Tua, because like already said, Tua's injury prone.
Yeah, and for the Miami Dolphins, what I've been hearing is Joe Burrow. They like him so far, but,
I just have a hard time picking a quarterback that is essentially a 1-year wonder, especially that high.
Well, there you have
And
it.
especially when you're the Dolphins and you stink and you can possibly take Chase Young, the best defensive player, in like 10 years. I don't know.
We haven't had a quarterback since Dan
Absolutely.
Marino. I'm willing to take any quarterback next draft. So,
And you're going to pass
Gardner
Chase Young?
Minshew.
Okay.
yeah, I will. I will proudly say that. You can reach us at thesportscast.net or on Twitter. The Sportscast1 will be live tweeting the LSU game in Alabama. I don't think we have anyone for the Penn State game. Maybe Tyler. He might be doing the Penn State and Minnesota game. We'll see. And
I might be able to.
And then Kailu maybe might do game day. We'll see. Of course, follow us on the Sportscast Twitter. Sportscast 1, and anything else. Guys, final words before we go. All around, Ty. Real quick.
Go nuts.
Justin?
Roll Tide.
Kailu?
Nothing.
And there you have it, guys. The Sportscast once again. Have a good night, and go college football.
Thank you.
Yep.